Hey, Steve Mignani here with some really good junkyard news. If you're going to be anywhere near Sherman, Texas on March 24th and 25th, know that there's going to be an outdoor auction put on by duncansauctions.com of over 200 solid Texas parts vehicles. There's going to be Fords, GM, Mopar, lots of tractors, and even forklifts. These things all have to go. It's an online auction, but also an on-site auction. If you happen to be in Sherman, Texas, you can go and bid in person or again, online, but all 200 vehicles have to go. Don't let them get crushed. To learn more about this auction, which happens on March 24th and 25th of 2023, check it out on duncansauctions.com. And keep in mind, if you're seeing this after March 24th or 25th, 2003, the auction's over with. But before then, make sure you check it out and save some of these cars. Don't let them go to the crusher. Well, Steve Mignani here doing the Junkyard Crawl, but as you can see, we're not actually in the junkyard. That is a 1965 Chevelle Malibu, and it has snow on it, right? And as you know, we do these things usually at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts, where this week there's like a foot of snow on everything. The snow you see there right now is like 5 times that, so we can't really go there. The problem with the snow is if we go into the yard and we shoot the car and there's snow all over it, you can't see the car, why bother? And beyond that, the paper props that I like to use in these things get wet, the model cars get wet, it's a loser all the way around. So instead, with this video, what we're going to do is take you behind the scenes and show you how I do these videos and how I prepare for them. So for instance, this here, I went to Bernardston and I always take pictures. I go there for a day and I just fill my camera with pictures. I grab things like what kind of wheels are on a car, maybe the engine size, if there's an emblem on it, if there's an engine or no engine. We can also learn about steering options, brake options. We also see both sides of the car. This tells me if I can open the door or not on camera. Here we can't, not enough room. So I gather these images, of course, the cowl tag, very important. And I make sure I get clear pictures, so I bracket. And then things like, what kind of power steering, manual on this one. So inside, we look and we can see on this one here, it has bucket seats. And this is a Super Sport. So I always gather the overall image on every car, and then when I come here to my house, I then make notes so that when I go back to the junkyard, I know what I'm talking about and I'm not guessing. So you might wonder, where do these notes come from? Well, basically, I have a large research library here at my house, and you can sometimes even see just off camera, you'll see a dry erase board. Yeah, I mean, I'm a reporter. I give myself a solid A- as a car expert, but not an A+. So I don't want to guess about these cars, so I usually do what I can to, like production numbers, price of options, that kind of stuff. Things that go in one ear and out the other one after the video is done. I put those onto a dry erase board. In fact, I'll even sometimes take a Sharpie like this and write on the fender, power steering $212, and just that way when I walk to the car I can look, oh, power steering is $212 on this car. So they're called notes, cue cards, call them what you will. And again, I'm a reporter, not not an expert. I didn't design these cars, I didn't make them, so I just give them a voice. I do what I can to be as accurate as I can. So once I've decided what car I'm going to do, well, then we go to my research library. Let's go in there. I am a bachelor. I live alone. That's how I get away with having a room like this in my house, which I call the Fortress of Solitude, the house that is. Upstairs, it's plush, it's beautiful, it's clean, but downstairs, this is my joint. With that said, this is the table where I have dealer brochures from each manufacturer. Here's Pontiac, here's Oldsmobile, here's Buick, here's Lincoln, Ford Mercury, here's miscellaneous Jeep, American Motors, that sort of thing, International, Chrysler stuff going all the way back to the 60s, into the 80s, the K car, and this is the Chevy pile right here. Of course, here's the Malibu, downsized Monte Carlo, and you might have seen some of these in previous videos. But with that said, what I would do is go through here and see if I have a factory brochure on the 65 Chevy Malibu. So with that in hand, I could then look for data on axles, what they had to say about the car, and in some cases, these brochures come out long before the car hits the street, and they contain errors. So with a sharp eye, you can sometimes notice things on like the 65 Malibu SS, some kind of weird trim on the side that didn't make production. You'll see that in the video when it comes out. But sometimes the magazines help to crutch or supplement these brochures. And speaking of magazines, well, this is my magazine stash right here. They're alphabetical. We start with American Rodding, Carcraft, Cars, Car and Driver, Car Life, working our way all the way up. And basically in these piles, I have magazines that go back. This is this one right here, for instance, is Car Life magazine, 1969 up. And Car Life is a treasury of information of pretty much all new cars from back in 1961 to about 73. And again, inside of these, I would look for a road test of the car under question in the video. In fact, here is Detroit. I have a lot of magazines from Detroit, including the great motor trend. And I hear something. Do you hear that?
Canceled? What do you mean we're canceled?
But yeah, but Motor Trend is a great resource because, again, they're still in production today, or print, I should say, and all these magazines quite often will give you the opinion of the car from an editor or a reviewer or a critic. So between the brochures and vintage car magazine write-ups on the cars, that gives me the data to give the car an extra perspective so that when I go to the junkyard and stand in front of the car, I can show the magazine or the brochure along with the car. And in some cases, I'll even include model cars. All these things right here, you know, the 1/25th scale plastic model kits are a big thing. I love them, and in fact, they've been around as an industry since 1955 or so. And I won't say you name it, there's been a model kit made of it, but there's an awful lot of model kits out there. So like, for instance, if I do a Lincoln Continental right here, here's one. This is actually the AMT kit. It's 1965. A couple days ago, in fact, we did post a 62 Continental four-door sedan. This is the convertible. This one was actually used in the video, and it allowed me to show the suspension, the non-frame unit construction, dual exhaust. So the model cars do make excellent teaching aids. I even have a Dodge Shelby Charger. We all remember these from the 1980s, the front-wheel drive, the 2.2-liter Trans 4 engine, and basically a K car wearing a Charger nameplate. This is the car that Dodge infamously said goes from 0 to 50 in 7 seconds, which is another way of saying 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. So they changed the playing field, 0 to 50, which nobody noticed. I noticed, but anyway, they're interesting cars. But again, models can tell us as much as a walk around a real car. Okay, let's go back to my little office and see how it all comes together. Okay, getting back to this 1965 Chevelle Malibu Super Sport, I found some goodies in my stash. Here's a Revell Z16 model kit right here. Of course, 201 of these things were built. And this kit will help when we make the video to showcase the underside. Car Life magazine right here. Back in the day, did an actual road test of a Z16 right there. First big block Chevelle from the factory. And of course, we have a dealer brochure right here on the 65 Chevelle, which contains a factory blooper, but I can't show you just yet. This video will be made probably early next week when the snow at Bernardston melts. But what I do with all that data is I write it down into a sheet like this. Every vehicle that I do, I can't show you too much because I don't want to cheat, but this is, of course, the 65 Malibu right here, and each of these comments will be expressed to camera. Going back a few, in fact, these books right here, these go all the way back to the beginning of Junkyard Crawl. This is the YouTube list right here. And what I do, and this is full, every video we ever did is inside of this binder. I'm kind of an analog 20th century guy. I could do this with a computer, I guess, but if the computer gets wet or the battery dies in a junkyard, that won't happen with the notebook. But when we see this, for instance, here, this is a 1955 Dodge telephone truck. We did this, the C3B pickup. You might have seen this back in June of last year. And if you see a green check, it means I expressed it to camera. And in some cases, a red X means I didn't get to. For instance, the crank dampener has double duty for the lifter. I didn't get to say that to camera. So right after we shoot the video, while Shane's grabbing B-roll, Super Shane Richardson, the cameraman, what I'm doing, he's grabbing his B-roll. And I'm checking off here, what did I say, what did I not say, so that after I get back here with the new 7 videos for the next week, I can create accurate titles and descriptions. So basically, you know, found today in the junkyard, telephone truck, Dodge, Does it have sure grip? And I know that we did or didn't because of this. And then we create the title, and then Super Shane edits them together and then posts them on YouTube where you hopefully watch them. So that's kind of how it's done. You know, some would say, hey, Steve, you know everything about everything. Well, like I say, I give myself a solid A minus, maybe B plus, but not an A plus. I'm a good student and reporter of cars. But when I'm talking about a Saab turbo convertible, that's foreign technology to me. I don't know what that is, but I can bone up on it to give about 5 or 6 points that are cool about that car. And I always say, when I do my research, if I say to myself, I didn't know that, and I say that a lot, I figure it's going to be a good video because other folks won't know it either, and therefore the car gets a voice, you know. And again, I like to say I love everything about old cars except one thing: they don't talk. So we do what we can on Junkyard Crawl to give these cars a voice, and if people want to go buy them, that's cool too. You know, I get out of the middle of that stuff. But anyway, so until the snow melts, it's on its way. This car probably, it has another foot on it because it's really been snowy here. This is March 17th, 2023 today. And another couple, 2-3 days, we'll be able to go back to Berniston Auto Wrecking and make these notes become a video that you'll watch, hopefully, on the Steve Mag's YouTube channel. So if you like this video and how we make the videos, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Mag's YouTube channel. Give it a like, share it with your friends, and ring the bell so that you know when the next video comes out, which is tomorrow morning.